All right, so here's our second video for the day to help us get through numbers 4 through 6 on your worksheet. So if you'll notice on this one, we have more numbers on the left-hand side. We have more things we're gonna have to get rid of in order to get this parentheses by itself. Along the way, you'll figure out how to do number 4. This one's set up kind of like numbers 5 and 6 on your worksheet, but along the way you're going to learn how to do number 4 also, because it's going to be one of the steps in here. So again, we're trying to get this parenthesis squared by itself. All right, so we're going to start with subtracting 6 from both sides. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. We're going to start with this number that's being added or subtracted to the parentheses. We'll worry about that multiplication later. All right, so that's going to give me 2 parentheses 6x plus 12 squared equals 62. Well, I still have this 2 I have to deal with. Well, that's 2 times whatever's in parentheses, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. That's going to give us 6x plus 12 parentheses squared equals 36. Okay, so now we've got the parentheses squared by itself. By the way, when you got to this step right here, that's going to look a lot like number 4. So number 4 is going to be the parentheses squared, but we're going to have a number out front that you're going to have to divide by. You're going to divide both sides by whatever's right there. So now we're to the step where we're ready to take the square root of both sides. Remember, when we take the square root of both sides, the square root and the squared goes away. And that leaves me 6x plus 12 equals the square root of 36. Well, remember, plus 6 and minus 6 will give me 36. Multiplied together will give you 36. All right, so now we're back to these 2 equations, right? Because this over here is a plus and a minus 6. So we're going to set it up with 6x plus 12 equals 6. And then we're also going to set up another equation, 6x plus 12 equals negative 6. These numbers might look familiar to you because I used the same numbers in the last example. I got a little lazy, sorry. But concepts stay the same. The principles stay the same. All right. So now we're trying to get this x by itself, so we're going to subtract both sides by 12. Remember, these are 2 separate equations. So what I'm doing over here has nothing to do with this equation over here. So when I do that, that gives me 6x equals negative 6. Now I'm ready to divide both sides by 6. So x equals negative 1. There's one of my answers. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides over here. 6x equals negative 18. Divide by 6, and x equals negative 3. So there are my 2 answers. Now let me tell you a mistake that happens after y'all do a couple of these. Y'all do one of these and get this first answer, x equals negative 1. And you remember the answers we got yesterday were plus and minus the same number. So a lot of times y'all will get this first answer and you'll say, well, if it's negative 1, then my 2 answers are plus and minus 1. But that's not true, because we just proved that my answer over here has nothing to do with this answer over here. It became negative 3, and over here it was negative 1. So make sure you work both equations to get your 2 answers. And that'll get you through numbers 4 through 6 on your worksheet.